Welcome to my video on Alabama Hills. I'm Derek J. Mendoza, your guide. Alright, I went to Alabama Hills recently, and when you first get through Lone Pine and you turn into the park, you're gonna go down this long windy road, and I have to say it's so awesome if it's the first time you've ever been down there, because you're just approaching all these rock structures that are pretty amazing. I've never seen anything like it before. It's like you've arrived. You're seeing what you've always, dreamt of seeing on your little road trip. Now, this way of getting into the park is via the detour. You enter through Tuttle Road, but it's so cool to come this way instead of just going straight down Whitney Portal Road, because as you can see, there's all these twists and turns, and it's just a fun drive going through all of these new rock stuffs. Now, the first thing I wanted to do when I got into the park was drive around the area in general so I can get a sense of the recreational spaces. And there's a main loop to Alabama Hills, and it takes about maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to drive around the main loop. This part of the loop, it's like driving towards Mount Whitney. That's Mount Whitney in the background, which is of course the highest peak in the lower 48 states of the United States. It's just a beautiful backdrop to enjoy your ride, listen to music, either turn on your aircon or roll your window down and just enjoy. Now here you get closer and closer to the mountain. This road, the flat part, it actually connects to the main road that will take you up to the Mount Whitney and to where the staging happens, where you can park your cars and way up there and hike the summit if you want to. And so instead of going to the summit, I turned left. I'm going back to the entrance part of Alabama Hills. And when we get in there, I'm going to show you all the cool rocks and rock formations and stuff. But I just wanted to first give you a sense of going around the park in the main loop. Now, I like to do dispersed camping. So what I did is I put all of the campsites onto my Gaia, and you can see with the little tent signs, those are all dispersed camping sites, because what they've done at Alabama Hills is you can't just camp anywhere you want, because there's so many people that visit the park every year. They don't want to ruin the environment, and so they've designated tent spaces where you can do dispersed camping. And you pack in and pack out, don't leave any trash, and follow all the good etiquettes to keep our parks clean. You can see on the bottom, that's Whitney Portal Road. That's the road I was driving and the road that will go to where you can hike the summit. Then you turn into Movie Road, and that's where you can start to find a nice camping spot. I found this cool spot to camp in, and I'll tell you why. It's because it was so hot out there. This spot has these boulders. There's shade under the boulders. I went in the summer because I had time off and I wanted to go when it wasn't crowded, but it's blistering hot at around starting like 10 or 11. And this was a great spot for me to find. Here's some shots of it. It's like this separate boulder area, which was cool to climb around. And then you can see, just set up a tent and have your Jeep there. I'll show you in a minute why this is so cool. And it's because you can set up your chair under a rock and just kick it. From there, I wanted to do a little exploring, and that brings us to this cool little place called Lone Ranger Canyon. This is a fun place to drive around. Here we go with a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. Now, this was the first time I was going into the park, so there's nothing technical about taking your four-wheeler out here. As you can see, it looks pretty flat. But as you know, you don't know what lurks behind the rocks. You don't know if there's a spot that you can't back out of, or some kind of, ditch or ravine that's hidden back there. So it kind of makes it a little exciting. You can see the road's flat, but you just don't know what's back there. I had a lot of fun doing this. Here I'm going through a narrow path, because the rocks are on both sides. Twisting and turning into the Lone Ranger Canyon. There's a lot of little camping spots when you go into this mini canyon part. And I love those two twin rocks up there. I think it's iconic in some movies. Maybe that's where the Lone Ranger, lifted up his horse and said Hi-Yo Silver. There's a few spots that you can camp on where I just stopped. And I like to just get out of my car and, walk around a little bit, see what's out there that I can't take my Jeep into. But, of course, it's really fun driving around, so you want to hop in your car and check this out. Look, I hit the rock. I miscalculated where I was driving. It's just a lot of fun going through this part. I hope you guys get out there sometime and, enjoy. Sometimes when you go over these little hills, you don't know what's on the other side. I can't say enough how much fun it was just cruising around, because it's really relaxing, Look, there's another campsite. You can camp there if you want. It's nice to get a bird's eye view from the sky of what the hills look like. When you rise up, you can see patterns that Mother Nature has made. That's really kind of a mystery. If you look at how the columns of rocks are formed, it's just interesting to see how or why or think about, and just give awe-inspiring wonder to how the earth is created. It's so fortunate that we can ride through this valley and canyon hills and see everything the way we can. I think it helps give a different perspective on life and how things are, and appreciate the beauty that's around us. I later camped a second night in this area after I drove around and drove through a lot of the mini canyons. There's a few cool places to just stay overnight and look at the stars. This is the second spot I camped at that I was telling you about. And I was lucky enough to go, and there's really nobody around. I mean, there was probably only one or two people I saw who were doing dispersed camping. And of course, this is because it's summertime and this is practically a desert and it's super hot during the day. So a lot of people don't come during this time. So it's actually a great time to take photographs. As the sun went down, the color of the hills started to change. The sunlight as a backdrop also gives off great silhouettes. The mountains just appear to be more spiritual and have this spiritual energy about them. I also chased around the moon for a while, trying to see what kind of shots I could capture. That was a good adventure. As the night sky approaches, the stars start to pop. Now, I'm new to nighttime photography, and this is actually my very first night sky shot. So, kind of proud of it. I had to play around with the ISO and the exposure and things like that to be able to get the stars in focus. I was just so happy that it came out. I mentioned I did dispersed camping, and this is the second night and the second spot I stayed at, and I realized I didn't even need a tent. The weather is so perfect at night. All you need is a cot and a sleeping bag. This is the moon. That is the moon. It was so extraordinary. Of course, I took the night sky shots after the moon went down, but I just wanted to show you the camping spot that I chose to do. I slept for a couple hours after the moon went down, and then I woke up to do night sky photography. This is a photographer's schedule, I'd say. At about 4 a.m., I decided to hike the Mobius Arch Trail. This is a pretty easy trail. It's about 0.5 miles, and there's nothing too hard, no obstacles, no incline that you really have to deal with. I only had to deal with it being nighttime, nobody around. I didn't know if there were wild animals out there or not. I don't think there are, so it wasn't that bad. It was a nice, quiet hike among the stars. It's really interesting to see this area at night, and then when the sun came up, to see what it looks like in full daylight. It was pretty shocking to me. Sometimes there's no words for the kinds of things that you see. Oh, and there it is. There's the arch. I wanted to get some nighttime photos and night sky photos of the arch. I was hoping to get the cool, backdrop. And I know I'm total amateur. I didn't even realize about red lights at this point. My headlamp did have a red light, and I figured it out after a while that it's better because your eye has to keep adjusting when you're using the white light. These are just the things you learn when you go out and explore and enjoy photography. As the sun rises, the night sky starts to fade away. The majesticness of Mount Whitney gets accentuated by the light touching the tip of the mountain, but the rest of the area is still darkened. Now I'm still at the arch, and watching the transformation from night to day is one of the best experiences I think you can do at Alabama Hills. And as I mentioned, there's such a difference between seeing the rocks at night and seeing what's out there in full sunlight. And there's the arch in full light. It's fun because you can climb on all the rocks in Alabama Hills. And there's a lot more during, they have day use areas versus the overnight camping areas. So there's tons to explore. Here's something cool. When you're out on the arch trail, you can overlook these incredible rocks. But I didn't notice this until the sky lifted, that over there is my Jeep. That's where I parked my Jeep when I came to the nighttime arch hike at 4 a.m. I felt like I was on the planet Mars, even though I know it would be different. But it's just so surreal that this environment and atmosphere exists right here in the heart of California. It's really quite amazing. Here's the view coming from the backside of the arch and looking outward. Another daybreak shot with the beautiful Mount Whitney in the background. The arch trail is a loop, so you can come from the backside instead of the front side. And this is me walking back to the arch if you would take the loop from the other side. See, this is where I ended up when I started at night, coming from the signpost. But I just wanted to show you that you can come from either way, and it's a shorter distance to the arch from the backside. I call it the backside than it is from the other side. See the beautiful sunrise in the background? This is all part of the Mobius Arch Loop Trail. When I got back to my Jeep, I wanted to show you what the bathrooms look like. So these are the porta potties, and you'll find a few of them placed throughout the park. And they're really, in my opinion, clean. I mean, if you've ever been to like a concert and you see the porta potties there, they're all like way dirty, and you wouldn't sit on the bowl part. But if you look at them, they were clean. I think it's because hardly anybody uses them, and the rangers have to come by and clean them all the time. So it's really refreshing to have a place to do your business in the morning. When you step out of the bathroom, look out into the distance and you'll see something cool. It's a heart rock. I'm sure there's tons of these natural formations that the way they look, they're as if they're symbols, and it can be meaningful for you, or it can just be a nice, memorable souvenir that you can remember seeing and have fond memories of. There's another trail right by the Mobius Arch Loop Trail, so I wanted to walk out there and see what was over there. It's about 7 a.m. in the morning, and that's really the best time to hike when it's summer like this in August, because it's gonna get super hot at around 10 or 11. And so it's a pleasant little hike that was near where I was, and I just wanted to cruise out there. I took out my hovercraft, and if you know about hovercrafts, they're technically not considered drones because you don't really fly them up and control them anywhere. It's just connected to your phone by Bluetooth, and so there's no aviation rules about hovercrafts or anything like that. They just follow you or take a picture of you. I like them, and it's a fun adult toy to play with. Another tool in your arsenal for making videos. Well, I hopped back into my Jeep and took off on Movie Road. This is the main road I was talking about that goes around the entire Alabama hills. I've showed you a lot of the hills, but of course I didn't show you everything, can't get to everything. And the one thing I didn't check out was there's a mine that you can actually drive into. I've had friends who've told me they've driven out into and inside the mine, but I didn't really seek that one out. I just wanted to enjoy the beauty of seeing Mount Whitney and taking an easy cruise in my Jeep. It's really nothing like it. It's been one of my best trips I've done so far, and I'm just a, mild Jeeper. I take the easy to moderate routes, and I really like scenery and photography. It's really the photography that I go out for, and that's what motivates me. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a like and a comment down below, and it really helps my channel. I'm trying to grow it out. And here's some photos to leave you with. The sunrise, the cool rocks, my secret camping spot. I love that spot. And Mount Whitney from below is just amazing. By the way, I shoot with a Canon R5 and also an iPhone 15 Pro, and I shoot everything in RAW format as much as possible. I think it has better color control at the end. So that about wraps it up. I hope you get out there to Alabama Hills. I think you'll have a great time. And just remember, if you go during the summertime, it's super hot, so be prepared for that. But a lot of people like to go during spring and winter. And go out there and have a good time. Thanks, guys.